guys, it is Jason, and first of all I want to apologise for not being there making a video last week. However, I was away. Yeah, I have been to a festival in Germany for the past week and somehow managed to get back in time for work, but that's a completely different story. That's totally insignificant. Wacken Open Air is the name of the festival. It is the largest metal festival in Europe. And I did bring back a hell of a lot of nice memorabilia and merchandise, such as this amazing Flesh God Apocalypse t-shirt, which makes me look super flat. By the way, I'm not sponsoring them or anything, I just really fucking like them. Oh shit, I swore. Beep 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 beep. But anyway, sorry, I'll get to the point of this video because I'm sitting at a slightly more informal angle today. This is going to be a bit more of a potential rambling, ranty topic. Because I've got a lot to talk about regarding this festival as a trans person. So just for a bit of context, I think this is the 6th time I have been to a festival, and I've been to several different festivals in different countries, different languages, and I even performed at a couple of them. But up until this point I have been presenting entirely as female because I didn't even know I was trans, yeah, and you know the story. But yeah, going to Wacken as a trans man was interesting to say the least. Let me talk a bit as well about the metal scene because it's important here that I address these both at once. Because it's something that does need to be talked about. The metal community as a whole is really awesome because it's all about wearing, outlandish t-shirts in black and, fucking the establishment and, non-conformist, and you're going deliberately against everything. Men wearing their hair long and alternative clothes and really heavy, loud, really angry sounding, if you want to call it angry music, it's so against the norm, right? And yet, the metal community is not that inclusive by any stretch of the imagination. Even when I was presenting as female, I felt intimidated by all the cis men that I could see. And yeah, there was some inclination of the dysphoria and so on, of course, because it was present back then. But I did experience sexism, I experienced things that were remarked at me, how people saw me that they wouldn't have done if I was a cis man. And there are plenty of women in the metal scene I know, even in like the local metal scenes, where they have talked about their experiences, say fronting a band or even being pressured to wear certain things to look a certain way in the metal community. There's also things like, for example, the infamous groping during crowd surfing and all this stuff. So, there's that side of things. But even in the wider range, sort of going away from cis women for the minute, like, it's still really, really odd or really out of place to see a black person in a crowd of metalheads, or a gay guy, or a lesbian, and of course a trans person. In fact, I think I've only ever seen one trans person at all who was at a metal gig, and I was actually with him at the time. So during the entire festival, I was feeling intimidated because I was trans. I felt like, surrounded by all these cis white het males. I felt intimidated, and lots of them were very manly men, alpha males, and again, metal is all about being tough and, letting out your, anger, noise, whatever. And I felt like I was almost inferior, or that I wasn't like them enough. And then of course there were isolated problems as well that happened because I was trans. Like, you know, if you're a trans person watching, you will understand that in day-to-day life there are these complications that suddenly become a thing that you have to deal with, that people who are cis do not have to deal with. It's just as simple as that. And I'm going to do a little thing about that as well in a gym video once I go back to the gym for the umpteenth time, about these complications that you have to face. Being in a gym is quite a vulnerable area. Of course there's not a gym at Wacken, but there were vulnerable areas. Now camping as a whole, I don't really like camping, but that in general is quite a vulnerable thing. Like, you know, you're in a fabricated walled thing, and you know, it's not really the safest place to be in that regard. Didn't bother me too much, but there were, you know, potential things that could have happened, and I can perfectly understand if someone would not feel safe camping because they were trans, like just camping as a whole. There were also other things that were far more of a problem as well. One of them, which I'm sure you'll be guessing by now, showers. Showers camping at a festival is really difficult. And there was also an issue with a queue that you had to go through every time you wanted to go into this sort of arena part of the festival, so away from the camping area. You had to be patted down, and they were segregating people into male and female. So the first time I went into the male queue, and essentially I got shouted at aggressively by a security guard. I don't speak German, but I do understand a bit, and I knew what he was essentially saying to me. And then some other people behind me piped up, essentially reiterating. What he was saying was, why are you in this queue? You need to go to that queue over there with the women. And my friend in front of me got so mad, he actually grabbed hold of the security guard and said to him, no, he is a man. They did let me through, but it really shocked me. It's like, I do not care who pats me down. And I find that whole system so flawed anyway, because, again, when I was presenting as female, I've been patted down by women who have groped me inappropriately, or who have sort of stroked up me and all this weird stuff. It doesn't stop people from, you know, being touched inappropriately. Like, seriously, it's not about who it is, like, in terms of what's between their legs that pats you. So I don't fucking get. But no, they didn't like that because I wasn't passing, and that really kind of got to me for many reasons. One of them because I wasn't passing. Second was because it's like, why are you treating me this way, you know, and all that. There was also a bit of an aftermath of that when my friends decided to complain to the festival, and there were several posts on Facebook that were trolls and say things like, oh, well, your friend needs to look between their legs to work out what gender they are. And then there was a guy even posing as the security guard, like the head of security, and all this weird stuff. And Wacken, to give them their due, they did say, oh, you know, don't listen to him, he's not one of us, you know, if you see anything, report it. But I didn't think that would do anything, because I could just feel this segregation going on, as if that was the norm, and it's still so much like, you know, box, like with the Transport for London, boxers. Going back to the showers as well, what happened with that was I knew beforehand there is no way I could go into the men's showers and feel safe. For those of you who don't know, I am pre-everything, so I still have the genitalia of female, if you want to call it that, you know, assigned female at birth, all that stuff. So there's no way I could go into a men's shower area without being completely and utterly harassed, you know, all this stuff. No way. So I'd already accepted, okay, I have to go into the females. It was incredibly awkward on 2 accounts. The first one was, got into the queue when I was really tired. Didn't realise it was the men's queue because there hadn't been a women's queue forming, so I had to actually come out of the queue when I was near the front and go to the women's. Even though no one had said anything to me, so maybe I was passing, maybe I wasn't, I don't know. And then in the women's it was really awkward. It's like, I shouldn't be here, it is magnifying the fact that I have the wrong body and stuff like that, like the wrong makeup biologically. So it wasn't nice, but fortunately I only did it once. But you can tell in my voice I'm riled up by this. It's like, why should I, and why should anybody, have to think about those things? After the incident with the queue, I said to my friends, look, I'm just gonna go with the women's because I would rather feel uncomfortable for 2 minutes, possibly longer, than have that happen every single fucking time. Because there's so many people, they're not gonna remember, oh, that's so-and-so who's actually a man, let him through. There was like 75,000 people. So it was very difficult to do that festival when I was trans. Like, I went to the festival, I mean, I've got Ramstein here, which is rather appropriate, but I went to the festival thinking it's going to be of the mindset that Ramstein likes to promote, which is, we don't give a fuck who you are at all. You just are awesome because you love our music and you love music that can express and this, that and the other. And also fuck Nazis, you know, things like that. But it wasn't. So it's really made me think about going to a festival anymore. I think part of it as well is I still hate camping. Like, I really still hate it. Seriously. I hate going through loads of mud and feeling cold at night and stuff like that. But okay, I'm pretty and I don't pass, but at least I can still pretend to be a woman and nothing bad would happen. Because everyone just thought, oh, yeah, woman, yeah, whatever. I never once got disputed for being in the women's queue. But that will change at some point. There will be that awkward stage when I'm so many months on T, for example, but no surgery, where people will start thinking I am male, and therefore I won't be allowed to give in and go to the women's queue. And with the showers, that's going to be even worse because, you know, a hairy looking guy with other things, that just wouldn't be able to happen until I had top surgery, which is what I want to do, but it's not even what every trans person, every trans man wants, and they shouldn't have to. But there are all these complications that now exist for me because of how I present myself. And it's disappointing. It's really disappointing. So, after a lot of thinking, well, until I pass completely, I don't think I'm going to be going anymore to any festivals. But on a lighter note, I think I need to go to more gigs, because gigs do not involve getting patted down. You might have your bag checked, but that's about it. You're not going to have to worry about camping in a vulnerable place. You're not going to be having to worry about showers or anything else in terms of gender that you have to worry about And gigs are dry, except for maybe sweat, but they're dry, there's no mud anywhere, and they're inside, so they're warm. So if there are any bands watching, then can you please get your arse to the UK so I can come and watch you? And in particular Flesh God, I keep missing them, it's so annoying. You know, if you're trans and you've been to festivals, not even metal festivals, but any kind of festival, you know, leave a comment, tell me what you thought of them. Did you experience anything bad? Was it a good experience? You know, it might just be the actual sort of setup. I mean, a metal festival is supposed to be, yeah, who cares, nobody cares, get really muddy, wear whatever you want. You know, if you're doing something else entirely, like sitting indoors, then that's different, isn't it? But, you know, start discussions, leave a comment. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too long for you either, but I did say it was kind of a rambling video. Please feel free to like and subscribe down below. I put out videos every Wednesday, except for last Wednesday, but never mind. And I am also on Facebook and Twitter, so feel free to follow me, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.